Welcome to the 2021 Big Brothers Big Sisters National Conference, Bigger Together. I'm Artis, and it's with great honor and humility that I stand before you as the president and CEO of this incredible mentoring network and powerful mission. More than 3,000 local agency staff, plus local and national board members are here for this 4-day conference, jam-packed with sessions for everyone, no matter what department you're in. Our tradition on the last day of conference is to recognize outstanding agencies and our bigs and littles of the year. But what's new this time, we'll be able to celebrate with all of you and all of our friends across the country when we share the event publicly for the first time. As we kick off this national event, our second virtual, I feel enormous gratitude to the many trailblazers who broke barriers so I could stand here today. The many mentors in my village whose shoulders I stand on in this very moment, like my dad, the preacher, who when I asked should I follow in his footsteps, he told me not to follow him, but to follow my own ministry in life. And though he's not with me physically any longer, his presence of mentorship is felt in everything I do. I'm also thankful for the passionate professionals and volunteers across our network who stand united in our beliefs and values about the power of young people. But as we know from childhood, standing is only the precursor to walking. And the most important reason we stand here today is to empower young people along a journey to positively impact their lives, their communities, and the world. More than 100 years ago, at the turn of the 20th century, our country was facing economic peril and dynamic population shifts with immigration. There were sharp divisions and violence along racial, religious, and socio-economic lines. Youth poverty spiked in many cities and towns. Childhood hunger and homelessness were at an all-time high. Many kids were put to low-wage work versus an education, and their choices at a better life were incredibly limited. So as you would expect, many of these young people who were the most marginalized and given limited options for a better life found their solace, their belonging, their opportunities on the streets, and often in crime and street gangs. It caused the proliferation of what was termed as juvenile delinquency. And it was from these circumstances where an innovative idea was born. The idea was simple, yet powerful. If good people with good conscience gave their time and talent to mentor a child, they could not only change a child's life, but they could change the course of a community and ultimately a country. It began with names such as Ernest Kotler in New York City and Irv Westheimer in Cincinnati, founders of this innovative idea as an alternative to the juvenile justice system, because they realized that kids needed and deserved more from us as adults. And just like our country, it is an idea that needed to become more perfect over time and more inclusive of race, gender, and diverse backgrounds. By 1914, the first Black big brother and little brother were matched. Charlie Allison, a probation officer, matched with little brother Randolph Taylor. Randolph went on to get a BS degree, master's, doctorate, coached football, and taught biology at several institutions. But one of his biggest accomplishments was his repayment of being a transformed little brother and becoming a big brother himself. These barriers broken spread progressively across our network. And today, 71% of our youth are from communities of color. 55% are girls. More than 50% are teens. And 70% of our agencies serve small and rural communities. And while the country's demographics and cultural landscape have changed, this powerful idea of one-to-one mentoring and our values have remained the same. You'll find these values in little brother Alonzo from Big Brothers Big Sisters of Wisconsin Shoreline, where Alonzo's big brother Bill is a longtime mentor. Bill has been matched with 12 little brothers since 1969. Now, due to health concerns, the global pandemic limited Bill's ability to leave his house. So little brother Alonzo volunteered to deliver groceries to his big brothers Bill and Bill's wife throughout the pandemic. When asked about his selfless act, Alonzo said he didn't think twice about it, adding, "Bill has been there for me for 10 plus years of my life. Why wouldn't I help him now?" You'll see our resilience in big sister Amy and little sister Kennedy of Southwest Louisiana, who have a remarkable distinction. They were one of the first matches made after Hurricane Laura and Hurricane Delta made landfall in southwest Louisiana. Last year, a community already reeling from the global pandemic, then impacted by not one, but two hurricanes. Little Sister Kennedy lost her home in the storm. But with the support of Amy and the staff, they were able to help provide needed support in a critical time of trauma. Little brother Aiden was just 10 years old when he rallied in his community in Portland, Oregon, and led a protest against racism last summer in response to the murder of George Floyd. With the help of his mother and big brother Jerry, Aiden organized and led a peaceful demonstration. Hundreds of people came out to join his call for change, including fellow young people. Aiden was interviewed by the local TV news and even Time magazine, telling the reporter from Time that he felt like one of the big people, and that even though you're little, you can still be brave and stand up for rights. The past year and a half have been tough, but our country's kids and communities face challenges long before the pandemic. Nearly 11 million kids live in poverty. More than 13 million young people experience emotional, behavioral, or developmental conditions like depression. And as many as 1 in 3 kids are growing up without a positive mentor. It's an economic and environmental reality that strained the resources of community-based organizations, including our local agencies, for years. You've shared with us through surveys that almost half the families we serve are struggling to pay bills. More than half the kids enrolled in our programs experience daily worry. And up to 20% of kids have lost contact with an important adult in their lives within the past year. And yet, as big as these challenges are, they are countered with our greatest truth. That when our young people face triumphs or trauma, we show up big and bold. And when life moments demand positive relationships that give kids inspiration or guide them when they face isolation, we show up big and bold. When kids lack access to opportunity and encounter the ugly isms of hate, prejudice, and discrimination, we show up big and bold. And when a child and their family has hit hard times and need a friend, a role model, or an advocate to turn to in their community, we show up big and bold. See, our very existence is a bold idea. And it's this very premise that gives us our greatest opportunity in a century to create a bold path to a big future. Over the past 6 months, your voices, input, ideas have shaped our network's strategic frame, setting a path for our future direction. Our why is our purpose. And as our origin proves, this purpose is and has always been inspiring youth equity and empowerment to help kids reach their full potential. We were born out of justice to create equity for youth, bringing together diverse communities so that all kids can feel included for the promise of opportunity and a better life. We are a Jedi-focused youth empowerment organization, not in response to the issues of today, but rather the vision in which we were founded. Jedi Focus means widening the circle for every kid to belong and have equitable access to opportunity, especially those who are too often left out. Being Jedi Focus is for the kid growing up in poverty in small town central Iowa, as much as it is for the kid living in poverty in downtown Philadelphia. It's for the young person who's isolated by the lack of broadband connection in their community, as it is for the kid who is isolated by the lack of inclusion because they are viewed differently. This idea is not our marketing campaign, slogan, or our latest social media post. It's in the values we live and how we express these values through every aspect of our agency to empower young people. When I was selected as CEO, it was a historic moment. But what was just as consequential was the national board challenging me to help lead historic equity, impact, and growth across our network. Guided by our board chair, Ken Burdick, the board's vision is to accelerate as the most diverse, mission-driven, and dynamic board, placing Jedi-focused youth empowerment at the center of our governance. We're immersing board members in cultural experiences and understanding, setting goals to be more representative of the communities we serve, developing board policies to advance greater equity, and attracting board members who share in these values. During our annual meeting, I'm excited to introduce you to new and dynamic national board leaders who affirm these values and are committed to help grow our mission. We must also lead at every level of our network, which is why we are evaluating and enhancing our national office JEDI practices, personnel, and policies with SDS Global, a leading diversity and inclusion firm. We're training every staff on cultural understanding, empowering employees to shape and design policies for inclusion, and bringing insights to life in the values we set, the operations we follow, the people we hire, and the partners and contractors with whom we work. A few weeks ago, agency leaders on our nationwide Leadership Council DEI committee took a huge first step in launching a comprehensive JEDI curriculum with the goal to train every staff, board member, and volunteer across our network. I'm encouraging you to start today by adopting the JEDI curriculum and hosting the trainings with your agency staff and volunteers. In just a few weeks, more than 1,200 have registered. Thank you for all that support. Now, obviously, no one organization nor single network can navigate this commitment alone. We need the richness of what's happening around us in the marketplace, which is why this fall we are convening a newly formed JEDI Council. This group will comprise of external experts across leading industries, volunteers, and alumni to provide insights to agency leaders and frontline staff, advise on network-wide plans and goals, and share best practices. You'll hear more about the council in upcoming sessions during the conference. Now, just as much as we live our why, we must know how we deliver it. Our how is our unique and powerful mentoring model. It's amazing to consider that for more than a century, we've established a model in delivering proven mentoring with evidence-based effectiveness, safety, affordability for our families, and scalability to go where kids go. And yet these needs of young people and the communities we serve have challenged us to keep up. In the past decade, there's been a 48% decrease in youth served and a 37% decrease in volunteers. To help fill this void, it requires expanding how we deliver, evaluate and communicate innovation to meet littles, bigs, and families where they are. Our true mentoring model is one-to-one plus. It starts with the little in the center, supported by an inner circle of the big, staff, and parent. And this inner circle coordinates and curates opportunities, services, and connections from an ecosystem of people and partners in the broader community. And this intentional, holistic youth empowerment approach builds positive relationships and essential skills for life-changing outcomes through post-secondary readiness, social-emotional learning, and a stronger sense of belonging and inclusion. I am so astounded to see the powerful innovation and ideas our agencies are delivering in their communities. In the Northeast, Big Brothers Big Sisters of New York City is teaming up with 70+ employment partners to empower tomorrow's workforce through innovative career and skill building sessions. Across the state at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ithaca and Tompkins County, the While You Wait group mentoring program enlists college students from nearby universities to join While You Wait activity teams that support and serve youth waiting to be matched with the big. Down south, where I'm from, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Middle Tennessee is testing a blended, innovative mentoring approach that utilizes technology to expand their reach to youth in rural communities. BBBS of Metro Atlanta is leveraging influential and iconic mentors to bring attention to the impact of its programs. And Big Brothers Big Sisters of Miami, littles are gaining access to digital literacy skills like coding, 3D printing, graphic design. In the Ohio Valley, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Shelby and Darke County is utilizing small group mentoring programs to help high school students who are short on credits catch up on their academics and graduate from high school. In the Midwest, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Eastern Missouri's ABC Today program is tracking students' attendance, behavior, and course performance in reading and math at 19 partner schools to inform a collective impact approach that boosts outcomes for youth. Staying in the Midwest, Kansas Big Brothers Big Sisters has created a model for long-term youth impact by securing sustained investment from transformational donors. Out west, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ventura County, Central New Mexico, Mountain Region, and South Arizona are a few of the 125 agencies nationwide that are harnessing the power of youth leadership and piloting high school bigs. On the Pacific Coast, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County and the Inland Empire, and Big Brothers Big Sisters of Greater Los Angeles are leading the way in serving young people aged 18 to 25. Representing 32 agencies nationwide that are collectively serving more than 3,400 littles aged 18 and up. To reach more kids with impact, It starts with refining our service delivery model with the capability, scale, and commitment only we can deliver. First, in partnership with the NOC and our affinity groups, we'll form a 1-to-1+ task force to define, test, measure, and scale this model more completely across our federation over the next 3 years. We'll support this testing and implementation with the establishment of a national program and outcomes arm to partner with our local agencies, national alliances, and donors to drive customization, consistency, rigor, and investment in 1-to-1+ outcomes. You'll soon hear more about our new partnerships development nationally and locally with strategic community partners like Girl Scouts of America, Junior Achievement, Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and the relaunch of our long-standing partnership with my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha, the nation's first African American fraternity. This network has led our industry in the commitment to child safety and youth protection, and will continue to do so. This requires bolstering our network-wide training and investment in youth protection, expanding our offerings in trauma-informed care, elevating our Youth Protection Summit, and supporting agency-led efforts that blend strengthening our youth protection standards with common sense policies that empower our staff to program effectively. As we set a course for the future, our why and our how are only as strong as what we do to bring them to life. And that starts with a big and bold vision that unites us as a network. For Big Brothers, Big Sisters, our vision is clear: to empower every kid on the path to graduate with a plan for their future and a mentor for their lifetime. It's a vision to empower all kids from all backgrounds through mentorship so that they break down barriers, seize opportunities, and follow their unique path in life. It requires us to become a transformational cause through the reach of our program, the relevance of our brand, the revenue to sustain our mission, and the resources to help our network thrive. First is our reach. If we're going to grow our legacy of being the best at mentoring young people, we have to be the best at mentoring the staff and the volunteers who reach them. Our vision in 2022 is to launch the first phase of the BBBS Leadership Village, a robust network-wide training, content, and learning development effort to deepen a culture of mentoring, sharing, and certification for every Big Brothers Big Sisters professional and volunteer. In fact, later during the conference, we'll announce those who will be participating as part of the Leadership Institute, the early stage of our advanced leadership track. And with continued investment, we'll partner across the network over the next 2 to 3 years to build out robust tracks for emerging leaders, frontline staff, and our volunteers to receive sustained training and coaching from respected peers across the network, industry experts, and on-demand learning. And next is our relevance. Our brand is dependent on being relevant to our most loyal supporters, followers, and investors. And there is no audience with a stronger affinity to our mission than the millions of bigs and littles who have experienced it firsthand. Next year, we'll begin to phase in a nationwide Alumni and Champions initiative with the goal of attracting 1 million alumni and champions to our network over the next 10 years. It will require every agency to conduct an alumni readiness check of the fundamentals to not only attract alumni and champions, but to cultivate, convert, and sustain them. And then there's revenue. Revenue is our lifeline to build capacity and sustain our mission. Our greatest asset as a federation is our collective resources, expertise, and relationships. And if harnessed correctly, we can generate hundreds of millions of dollars across our network over the long term. Over the next year and beyond, the National Office will work in partnership with agency leaders to outline a network-wide fundraising strategy. And we have so much to build on together. Enhancing our government relations and advocacy strategy will be phase 1 of this work. Thanks to our NOC Advocacy Committee for launching our first Congressional Hill Day. We need to be at the table with our nation decision makers so that the youth we serve can be well represented. The next phase of this work will involve aligning our Alumni and Champions initiative with a comprehensive individual giving program to maximize new relationships. Individuals are one of our greatest untapped potential to generate unrestricted and sustainable revenue. However, it takes work and patience, which is why over the next year, we'll engage with industry experts to create a line of sight for building our program effectively and piloting in key markets. And of course, the evergreen phase of our revenue strategy involves the continued build of collective corporate and foundation engagement. Our goal is to build a strong and authentic national partnership and place big bets in areas like workplace and career mentoring, social emotional learning, technology-enabled mentoring, rural equity, social justice, and sparking youth voice. And then there's resources. Our success as a federation is rooted in the success of each agency. And the responsibility of our model is each agency not only has a commitment to growing their own organization, but helping others grow as well. Time and time again, you've made this commitment, including improving our standards, investing in Match Force, bringing resources to the network, and peer mentoring through affinity groups. As part of this next phase of our strategic frame planning, we'll reimagine with you as leaders what a hybrid regional and affinity-based service model with boots on the ground can look like to best support you and the communities you serve. And finally, for resources, our organization is all about relationships. And there is no greater resource than the power of human connection. And one of the most exciting opportunities we have in front of us right now is implementing an enterprise-wide CRM. This is about more than technology or digital transformation. It's about how we transform relationships by empowering every single constituency of our network: donors, partners, volunteers, parents, staff, boards, and young people. We're launching this powerful tool at the end of this year, and we need every agency on board to transition to this platform come 2022 and beyond. Yes, there's much for us to do, but understand it's going to take time and patience. And I want to repeat that. For everyone who's watching, it's going to take time and patience. Like any sound plan, our next steps are to prioritize and be clear on what we desire to do, what we must do, what we can afford to do, and what things we need to stop doing. But in addition to the X's and O's, what I want to leave you with in conclusion is the most important input to our plan for the future: our values. Now, our values as a network have to be developed together. But in a little more than 150 days as your CEO, some things are incredibly clear about what we value. Everyone deserves an equitable seat at the table. We value that because we believe in that as part of our DNA and part of our mission. We're stronger together than we are apart. Our power is in our collaboration and our human connection. It's embedded in our mission and our purpose, the ability to join together. We continuously listen and learn so that we can lead. The process of learning, listening, taking in feedback from each other and sharing the best practices we connect with. Our relationships are our currency, so we have to treat them with the respect, authenticity, honesty, and humility that they deserve. And finally, the most important one, we put youth first in all we do. One of the most meaningful announcements I'm delighted to make from this stage today is the launch of our National Youth Advisory Council later this year. To truly be a youth empowerment organization, young people not only deserve a seat at the table, but to be placed in positions of influence where their voices are heard and their vision can be realized. This group will advise our national direction, be a voice to our board, and serve as ambassadors for our great mission. Every one of our agencies at some point in your future should have a National Youth Advisory Council and see it as valuable as your board, because it truly is. And this, again, is what makes us the leading Jedi-focused youth empowerment organization. I leave you with this picture. It was taken on my first day as CEO, and I felt like a kid starting his first day of school. Now, many of you know my wife worked in a Big Brothers Big Sisters agency right after she got her PhD, and my girls love anything BBBS that they can get their hands on. So you all have big fans in my household. What I remember most about this day is my youngest daughter, and when she came up to me after we took the picture to say how proud she was of me. And then she asked me something that stopped me in my tracks. She asked, "So should I follow in your footsteps?" Very similar to that same question I asked my dad when I was a kid. I smiled at her and said, "You should follow your heart." Which she then looked away for a moment to think about it and look back at me and responded with, "Okay, I think I'll do that." The work we do in our mission creates thousands of moments for young people like this every day that empowers them on a path to graduate with a plan for their future and a mentor for their lifetime. We change lives moment by moment. Sometimes the moments are little, other times they're big, but they're all important. Let's continue on this bold path to help kids achieve a big future. Thank you.